won in overtime. Sorry, it's another Islanders game, and I'm just so sick of watching them. Penguins win this one in overtime. Pettersson Letang with the overtime game winner. The Penguins win this one 4-3. Semyon VarlamOFF gifted the Penguins a win tonight. I know that wasn't single-handedly why they won, but goddamn was he awful. Jared McCann returned in this one. Tristan Jarry got his 7th straight start, and also the lines were just rearranged pretty much for the most part. Marcus Pettersson's now in the first pairing, so let's go over the lines real quick. Guentzel-Crosby-Kapanen stays. Jared McCann comes back after missing 7 games and gets on the second line with Evgeny Malkin. And I'll get to this later on, the idea that I don't know if the Penguins are as deep as I would want them to be, because you had Zach Aston-Reese there and now you have McCann there. Okay, McCann can probably play top 6 minutes, but I would prefer him to be our third line center. We'll get to that in a second, though. Third and fourth lines pretty much stay the same. Anthony Angello gets in the lineup, and also I'll talk about him later. Pettersson and Joseph switch. Now, Pierre-Olivier Joseph hasn't been playing bad from what I've seen. But I just think his ice time is now getting limited, given the fact that we actually have healthy defensemen, and he's no longer our best defenseman like he was 2 weeks ago when everybody was hurt. Jarry, as I mentioned, 7th straight start, and we'll get to the power play later and how Anthony Angello was on it, and also how, Jared McCann's a top 6 player, and I know he scored tonight. I don't know if this team necessarily has the depth that I want from them, and I think the Penguins should make a move to try and solidify their top 6. So as I just mentioned, the Penguins get an early power play in this one, and Anthony Angello, who has a career of 9 games played, is on the second power play unit. And I know he may be a good player. You never know. You could have him score his first, or you might have already had his first. You could have him score a goal on the second power play unit. But the reason I bring this up is because good teams don't put players from Wilkes-Barre that they called up just hours earlier on their second power play unit. I know it's a second power play unit, but I think this really speaks to the depth that the Penguins had. Obviously, you don't have Jason Zucker, but outside of that, who else is out? Evan Rodrigues, who signed to a league minimum contract. Are you telling me that he's our second best option and that we're already resorting to Wilkes-Barre-Scranton players unit? Also, Jared McCann, as I mentioned, love the kid. He scored tonight. I think he's a great player. I don't think he's a top 6 forward. And, he played good tonight. He was good with, Malkin and everything like that. But I would prefer him to be a bottom 6 player, whether that's wing or center. The Penguins are going to be without Zucker for a very long time. He's probably going to be out for the majority of the season. We'll probably be back for the playoffs. Who knows how he'll look then, if he'll be able to, recover in a timely manner. So the Penguins, in my opinion, need to add someone. I don't necessarily know who. Kyle Palmieri's name has been floating around, but again, the Penguins literally have nothing to offer any team that wants to, is going through a rebuild like the Devils. We don't have any first-round picks until 2022. We only have 3 draft picks in this upcoming draft, and our prospect pool is just, there's nothing. So I think we're going to have to make a hockey trade. Marcus Pettersson, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked, but anyways, that's really the thing I noticed for this game, because when you play a team like the Islanders, who have a 4th line that could arguably be the first line on some teams, with Matt Martin, Ceci and Cal Clutterbuck, who I know Cal Clutterbuck was hurt tonight, but still. When you have such of a good bottom 6 like the Islanders do, and this, the Islanders swept the Penguins in 2019, that goes a long way. Especially when they can provide scoring. I've said before that Ceci is one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League. Teddy Blueger is phenomenal. I understand that. Brandon Tanev's great as well. But, what is one play that you can remember having happen this season from Drew O'Connor, Colton Sceviour, Mark Jankowski, aside from the first goal of the season? But, seriously, I need the bottom 6 for the Penguins to step up. I don't think we have enough depth. I don't know how you fix it. So I'm already going to ask my PFR question for the night. Is this team deep enough in your opinion? And if it's not, drop in the comment below who you think the Penguins could go out and acquire to try and fix the depth on this team. And I know I'm sounding like things went bad. We lost or whatever. We didn't. We got the win tonight. Even with Jared McCann scoring. But, that's really what I noticed, especially against the Islanders. Because as I did my little, my little meme at the beginning there, man, I'm kind of sick of Islanders games with the Penguins because they're so boring sometimes. They just play the Islanders. They remind me of the Devils with Brodeur. They play such a defensive, very tight-knit defensive game that, it absolutely works. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and, Tavares is gone, and they were better off because, Perry Trotz came in and, had the defensive mindset and everything. But god damn, is it boring to watch. And, this isn't, not that I hate hockey or anything. I'll always love the game, no matter what. It's just that, like, when you play the Islanders, especially the amount of times the Penguins have played them this month, they played them 6 times this month, it gets old. Not that every game is the same, but, Jordan Eberle thankfully didn't score tonight. If he did, that would have just been a copy and paste from every other Islanders-Penguins games that we've had this past, 3 years now. There were a ton of blocked shots, little whistles, no real 5-on-5 chances. There were some power play chances, and, that's how the Islanders like to play. I couldn't imagine being an Islanders fan, honestly. And it works. As I mentioned, Brock Nelson scores the first goal of the game right at the end of the third period. The Islanders are playing the way that they want to play. They know how to score on the power play, unlike the Penguins, who only had 1 goal tonight, and it came from a terrible play by Semyon VarlamOFF. We'll get to that later. And, it went off of Nelson's foot, and it was, the Islanders were simply better in the first period at controlling the play and playing their way. Now into the second period, some crazy shit happens. After Matt Barzal scores, he had a nice goal. He carries it in and slips it in past Jarry. It was a great passing play by the Islanders. Semyon VarlamOFF after that cost the Islanders the game. And if I were an Islanders fan, I would be super pissed at VarlamOFF right now. On all 4 goals that the Penguins scored tonight, VarlamOFF could have been better, especially the first one. The Penguins get a power play, and Semyon VarlamOFF, who is a National Hockey League goaltender, just fell. He just fell down. Like, when you go to skate, on the rink, with your friend that doesn't know how to, you've never been ice skating before, and they fall. Yeah, it was like that tonight, except for with a, 30-year-old NHL goaltender that's been in the league for over a decade. He fell, and Sidney Crosby scored on it. That's really what happened. And right after that, Letang carries it up, shoots it, and scores. And VarlamOFF could have easily had the blocker on that one. He was super deep in his net, and the Penguins are tied in this game, 2-2. VarlamOFF was awful. Crosby's 7th, Letang's 3rd. But hey, we'll take it. Again, it's they don't ask how, they ask how many. Now, momentum's trending in the Penguins' way for the majority of the second period, but it doesn't really matter, though, because the Islanders turn the tables and they end up scoring with Josh Bailey getting only his second of the year. I expect him to have more. They really embarrassed the Penguins in their own zone with a lot of passing and, frankly, just better playing than the Penguins. And in the second half of the second period, things were really looking for the worst for the Penguins, and thankfully they only went out of it giving up only 1 goal, and then right into the first couple of seconds into the third period, Jared McCann ties it up. And it's crazy how much momentum can change in between periods because, if this were a 40-minute period, the Islanders would be up, 5 more goals if they continued to play at the pace that they had towards the end of the second. That doesn't happen in hockey, though. You have a thing called intermission, and Jared McCann takes advantage of it, and McCann-Malkin feeds him his 3rd goal of the year on a 2-on-1. And it's just so nice to see Jared McCann get a goal in his first game back. I'm rooting for this kid so much. He's the X factor to this Penguin season. I need him to be a good, solid third-line center, if not a good, solid winger for the Penguins, and solidify the depth that this team needs. However, again, my opinion still stands. I don't think Jared McCann is a top 6 forward. I want him to play bottom 6 minutes, preferably third-line center. And, Teddy Blueger, as great as he is, works perfectly on the 4th line, in my opinion. And if McCann can solidify and make a 3rd line for himself, the Penguins are going to be a contender. Hasn't happened so far this season, but we still got time. And, a trade deadline will be approaching before you know it. Sidney Crosby was not on the bench to start the third period. I repeat, Sidney Crosby was not on the bench to start the third period. It was something with the skate. He was back next shift. But whenever you hear that, as a Penguins fan, you're scared. Penguins get their 5th power play chance midway through the 3rd period. Don't score on it as well. McCann, as I mentioned, was impressing in this game. The Penguins were struggling on faceoffs tonight as well. And also, towards the end of the last 5 minutes, there was a really good pace from the Penguins. But what boils down to it is that they did not score, and they went to overtime. And this is a COVID year, and we play against the Islanders 8 times, and we went to overtime several times with them so far, which means that they're still getting points, and we don't play anyone outside of our division this year, as everyone knows. And the Islanders are the team that we're competing with in terms of playoff positioning the most right now. You know, you want to finish it off in regulation. I know the Penguins got the win tonight, but they also gave a competitor a point. I hate that. Also, that's that and the shootout need to go. The extra point, the overtime point, and the shootout need to go in the NHL. But that's a completely different video. The Penguins do get the win in this one though, and Chris Letang, he just walks in and shoots it in the dying seconds of the overtime period. And Varlamov again easily could have had that one. Wasn't good on it, and the Penguins won this one 4-3 in overtime. Not the best game overall for the Penguins, but they'll take what they can. Varlamov was terrible tonight, and the Penguins took advantage of it, and they won this game. Again, probably the 2 things that I took from this game is that the Penguins are not deep enough, in my opinion, to compete for a Stanley Cup. Jared McCann looked great, but I would prefer him to be on a bottom 6 role. I still am not seeing anything from Angello, Lafferty. Lafferty's looked okay, but get on the score sheet. Sceviour, Jankowski, O'Connor, pretty much the bottom 6 there for the Penguins. 3rd line's great. Aston-Reese-Blueger-Tanev looks great as well. But my 3 stars of the night, Varlamov. Thanks. McCann and Letang. And then my question for you guys, as I mentioned, is this team deep enough? And thank you all for watching as always. Tomorrow I will be posting my Pittsburgh Penguins iceberg. For those of you that do not know what an iceberg video is, it's simply a tidbit of information chart that goes from the most well-known to the least from the most well-known to the least well-known, and I've worked really hard on this iceberg video, and I'm really excited for it to go out. It'll be the new video that I'm going to try and market the most, and I'm super excited about it. So hit the bell, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff so that you guys are notified when this video comes out. I'm super excited for it. I really hope you guys learned something about the Penguins that you didn't before. But if not, it'll, not to pat my back on it or anything, but I think it'll be a good video for you guys the next couple of days. But as always, I will always be doing Penguins fan reactions until the day I die, because I'm a diehard Penguins fan and I'm always watching the game no matter what. And, if you're new here, this is what I do. I'm a huge hockey fan. Like, comment, subscribe. Mark Recchi giveaway card, still in the works, 500 subs for that one. Give me to 1 million subscribers, I'll torture myself. You guys know the deal. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Penguins iceberg.